Welcome back. A red alert has been issued for several coastal districts in Karnataka. The Dakshin Kannada district has declared a holiday for all educational institutions for today and tomorrow in the wake of heavy rains. Heavy rainfall had forecast for the coastal areas as well. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall lashed southern district of Hassan. Several trees were uprooted, causing road blockage. In coastal Udupi, water entered houses in Badkere village and people had to be rescued using boats.
लेकिन बहुत तो इधर नुकसान हो गया है, लेकिन अब ये पानी आता मालूम नहीं है हम लोग को। रात को पानी आया है और क्या बोल सकते हैं, लेकिन हम लोग को सुबह देखे तो इधर पूरा पानी भर गया।
कल बहुत पानी आया, इधर तक आए ये बाहर जाने के लिए नहीं होते, बहुत पानी भर गए है। बाजी की सब वगैरह कुछ लेने के लिए नहीं आते। बोट कल शाम बोट है, बाजू लड़का है भाई है, वो पानी लेके आए है, बोट लेके आए है, इसलिए हम लोग को बहुत तकलीफ हो गया। कुछ खाने के लिए बाजी कुछ लेने के लिए नहीं होते।
Now, as rains continue to lash parts of Telangana, a school bus carrying 30 students partially submerged in a flooded street in Mahabubnagar today. The underpass was filled with rainwater in Hyderabad, and according to reports, the locals turned savior. All students were rescued safely. The bus was later brought to the spot. But let's also take a look at the rain havoc in Gujarat. Heavy rainfall lashed Gujarat's Ahemdabad. Incessant rains led to waterlogging and traffic snarls. Vehicles were submerged and roads were flooded after heavy rainfall lashed Junagadh area in the state. Heavy rainfall also lashed Amreli. Roads were waterlogged and vehicles were all submerged. The incessant rains led to traffic woes and inconvenience to the commuters. Heavy rainfall was seen in Vadodara, which led to parts of the streets being waterlogged, especially the footpath area. Now, a tragic incident took place in Chandigarh. A tree fell on two parked school buses, killing one child and injuring 18 children. The children were eating lunch under the tree when the tree fell. 18 children have been hospitalized.
पेरेंट्स हैं हमारे साथ, उनसे भी बात करेंगे कि क्या जानकारी मिली है। सर, कैसे आपको पता लगा कि ये घटना हुई है और क्या जानकारी अभी यहाँ पर मिल पाई है?
सर, हमें तो फ़ोन आया था अभी ऐसे ऐसे बच्चों को पेड़ गिरा स्कूल में, तो वी जस्ट इमीडिएटली केम देयर। तो वो उसके बाद हम 16 हॉस्पिटल गए, यहाँ से पता किया अभी 16 बच्चे एडमिट हैं। तो 16 हॉस्पिटल में गए, वहाँ 16 हॉस्पिटल में देखा तो 15-16 बच्चे वहाँ एडमिट थे। तो फॉर्चुनेटली बच्चा हमारा ठीक था, वहाँ नहीं था। तो 9th to 11th या 12th के बच्चे हैं, उनको थोड़ी थोड़ी चोटें लग रही हैं, वो दे आर जस्ट मतलब अंडर ट्रीटमेंट। और बाकी एक बच्चा ईशिता नाम है गुड़िया, उसको शी हैज़ बीन रेफर टू पीजीआई।
वो ज़्यादा सीरियस है?
आई थिंक सो, मतलब सीरियस है तभी उन्होंने रेफर किया।
आप हॉस्पिटल भी गए थे क्या?
नहीं, मैं 16 हॉस्पिटल में गया था।
वहाँ कितने बच्चे हैं?
वहाँ अराउंड 15 to 16, 15-16 बच्चे।
15-16 बच्चे वहाँ पर?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
तो क्या यहाँ कोई मैनेजमेंट से बात हुई, कैसे घटना हुई, क्या?
मैनेजमेंट इज़ नॉट डिस्क्लोज, मैनेजमेंट कुछ नहीं बता रही किसी को। हाँ, वो कह रहे हैं जस्ट मतलब जो बच्चे सेफ हैं वो लिस्ट पड़ी है उनके पास 16 में, और ये पेड़ गिरा, बहुत बड़ी ट्रेजेडी हुई है। ओके, देखते हैं, लेट अस सी क्या होता है।
जैसे ही पेरेंट्स पर पहुँच रहे हैं, उनको वो चिंतित हैं, वो पता लगाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं उनका बच्चा है या सुरक्षित है कि नहीं। सर, आपका भी कोई बच्चा यहाँ पर है?
हाँ जी, नवजोत कौर।
क्या बताया स्कूल की तरफ से, क्या बताया जा रहा है?
अभी स्कूल वाले बच्चों को दे रहे हैं थोड़ा थोड़ा करके ना, क्लास वाइज क्लास दे रहे हैं।
क्या पता लगा आपको, क्या घटना हुई?
घटना कुछ नहीं, बस वही ट्री टूटा है और कुछ नहीं।
आपका बच्चा सेफ है?
हाँ, सेफ है जी।
चिंतित है कि इतनी बड़ी घटना?
नहीं, हाँ, उस चीज़ से चिंता तो है ही है कि बच्चों को इतना ज़्यादा हुआ है नुकसान का। किसी भी बच्चे को जो भी हुआ है, चाहे हमारा बच्चा है चाहे किसी और का बच्चा है, चिंता सबके बच्चे की एक होती है।
Now, trouble seems to be mounting for Delhi Minister Satyendra Jain and his family as the Enforcement Directorate has now summoned Jain's wife Poonam Jain in connection with a disproportionate assets case. She has been asked to appear before the ED on the 14th of July. Let me tell you that Satyendra Jain was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate on the 30th of May under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act criminal sections and is in judicial custody at the moment.
I remember there were several shell companies, at least to be precise, 5 of them were set up according to the investigating agencies, by Satyendra Jain. And Poonam Jain was director of one of these shell companies. What ED has said is that while carrying out the money laundering probe, even after Satyendra Jain ceased to be director of these shell companies, Poonam Jain continued to be director of these companies. When the income tax had taken over the probe in this case way back in 2013 and 14, Satyendra Jain was not in public life. He was a businessman, and they had found out that Poonam Jain was in fact made a dummy director of these companies. Poonam Jain has now been served summons for next week, that is for 14th of July. Last week, two close aides of Satyendra Jain, or alleged close aides of Satyendra Jain, one of them was in fact arrested and then subsequently sent on police custody remand. Ankur Jain as well as Vaibhav Jain, they both were arrested by the enforcement directorate, and it's expected that ED will be questioning Poonam Jain about the shell companies. Assets of enforcement of Jain family have already been attached by the enforcement directorate. ED has basically said that they will be recording the statement of Poonam Jain because on paper she continues to be or continued to be director of these shell companies, and these shell companies in turn had purchased land in and around Delhi worth at least 23 crore rupees.
After the split in Shiv Sena, which led to the fall of the MVA government and Uddhav Thackeray being ousted, this is the first time that the ex-chief minister has spoken out. Opening up about the Sena rebellion and the tussle over the Shiv Sena party symbol, he said that the bow and arrow symbol will always remain with the Shiv Sena and no one can take it away from the party. Thackeray also dared BJP to hold assembly elections. He further added that the Supreme Court's July 11th verdict will decide the future of the Indian democracy and not just that of the Shiv Sena.
कायद्याच्या दृष्टीने बघितलं आणि कायद्यामध्ये जे काही नमूद केलेले आहे घटनेमध्ये आहे त्यानुसार धनुष्यबाण शिवसेनेपासून कोणी हिरावून घेऊ शकत नाही. कारण एक आमदार असो 50 असो 100 असो हे सगळेच्या सगळे जरी गेले तरी पक्ष हा अस्तित्वात असतो. आमदार जाऊ शकतात, पक्ष जाऊ शकत नाही.
This is the latest on the US abortion rights row, where US President Joe Biden has signed the executive order aiming to protect abortion rights in response to the landmark decision by the US Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. The president derided Supreme Court's decision as extreme and totally wrong-headed, saying, and I quote, "What we're witnessing wasn't a constitutional judgment, it was an exercise in raw political power." The president said that the fastest way to restore abortion rights was for the American people to elect more members of Congress in November's midterm elections who will support federal legislation protecting abortion access. And from US, let's shift our focus to the United Kingdom. A day after Boris Johnson resigned as the Prime Minister, former Finance Minister Rishi Sunak has announced his bid to succeed him as the leader of Conservative Party and the country's PM. Rishi Sunak took to Twitter and wrote, and I quote him here, "I'm standing to be the next leader of the Conservative Party and your Prime Minister. Let's restore trust, rebuild the economy and reunite the country," unquote. Let me tell you that Sunak is the son-in-law of Infosys co-founder Narayan Murthy and among the front-runners for the top job. Well, that's all we could pack up for you on this edition of Beyond the Headline, but tune in